Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Jarrell Big Baby Miller, he loves to talk it up, he loves to talk trash, he loves to really get into it with other boxers, especially on social media. And if he's given the opportunity, we've seen he will get into it with someone in their face, as he did with Anthony Joshua at the recent DAZN launch. But there was a post that he's done on social media that I just thought, no, I have to wade in, give my thoughts, because in many respects, it's hilarious. He actually manages to capture about 7 or 8 boxes in it. He mentions them all by name at some point. It's rather hilarious. It's a little bit sad at the same time because Jarrell Miller is somewhat deluded. The way he talks, you would think he's been banging over top contenders left, right, and centre. Whereas, his next fight is against a fading former title contender, Thomas Adamek, and there is a disconnect between reality and what's actually happening with Jarrell Miller's career. And Hearn, he's also defending Miller's upcoming fight on DAZN with Thomas Adamek, and I'll get into that a little bit later on. But first, this post from Jarrell Miller. You can see on screen here in just the photo, you got Dillian Whyte from when he was taking on Derek Chisora. That's one of those famous shots where his head was spun around. You've got WBA regular title champion Manuel Charr, and you have Thomas Adamek. So I'll get into the post proper. All three are mentioned and more. So Big Baby Miller, he's said on his social media, okay, first, here's my hit list since Anthony G-String Joshua getting a spong bath by Derek Chisora. And take it he means a sponge bath. And he always busy. First, at Adamek. Second, at Manuel Charr. Third, at Dillian Whyte. This is for DW. Dillian Whyte. Dear Whyte, you fake Jamaican. You spoil beef patty, rotten in face, cocoa bread, crackhead, squirrel-looking ass boy. Mark my words, if I don't fight over sweeten Apple Jacks, you're going to be the first Brit face I'm going to break. Spread the word, fans, because this scallywag blocked me. Tag that fool. And Bronze Bomber, don't worry, I'll take care of this light work off your hands this one time. But don't get it twisted. I'm coming for balsamic vinaigrette drama queen ass to Beyonce Wilder. Hashtag Big Baby Cartel, Brooklyn Queen, hashtag BQE, hashtag Get the Strap, at 50 cents, tell your best friend I'm coming him. Yeah, it didn't always make sense in place, but you get the drift of what he's saying. Where to start with that? Because that was a whole mess of fighters mixed together, some of it nonsensical, some of it just a little bit sad, and some of it a little bit deluded. And Jarrell Miller, like I was sort of alluding to earlier, his mouth is cashing a lot of checks that the body of work that he's putting together hasn't quite cashed yet. And he is seemingly a bit of a legend in his own lunchbox. But that first bit where he says about Anthony G-String Joshua. Well, that's not a new nickname from Miller. He keeps mentioning Anthony Joshua's name at any opportunity. And when he was given the opportunity, he actually got up in Anthony Joshua's face. And, he's been trash-talking him quite mercilessly in recent months. He did calm down, though, a little after the DAZN event, because obviously the comments that he made about Anthony Joshua's mother, it actually sort of, did get fans offside, especially in the UK. And eventually Sky Sports asked him not to come to commentate on the Dillian Whyte and Joseph Parker fight. And Dillian Whyte, as we understand, he wasn't very happy with the comments either. A number of people were not happy with Jarrell Miller, and he went ghost for a couple of weeks. We didn't hide nor hear of him. So, now he's re-emerged and he's talking all this smack. And guess what? Anthony Joshua's name is the first one that he mentions. And we all know he wants that AJ payday, but he's got to be realistic. He is actually not at the top of the list for a fight with Anthony Joshua, regardless of what he thinks of his body of work, because he says he's a top 3 heavyweight. Even though he hasn't taken on or beaten any top 10 contenders, he's been happily in his work, sort of beating down former title contenders from Europe who are a bit faded on the downslide, who are sort of top 30 guys. And that's where he's leveled off. And then now for his October 6th fight, he's facing Thomas Adamek, and that is going to be on the first DAZN card. That is the first event that's being staged in the United States for DAZN. And, he's copped a lot of flack over this, and justifiably so. And actually, Thomas Adamek fits that mold. He's a former title challenger. He's older, he's 41. He's certainly on the downslide, and he's faded. So he fits right into Jarrell Miller's type. And he's number 1 on the list. And that in itself, to say this is my hit list and he's the top of the list, I know he's probably meaning he's the next that he wants to get out of the way, but just the fact that he's on that list, I mean, it does take away some credibility from Jarrell Miller. And I don't know if he's really sort of recognized that fans have really not liked this fight. They're not liking what he's doing, and he's lost some respect with fans. It's a bit of a lot of people are saying it's a gross mismatch. It's a bit of a joke fight, and he's been mercilessly sort of harangued on social media and even by the media, but yet he seems to think it's a justifiable fight. So do his promoters, Dimitri Salita and Greg Cohen. And Dimitri Salita's come out again and defended it. Eddie Hearn, I'll get to some of his comments a bit later on. And actually, it's been quite funny with the previous video that I did sort of announcing that, and with Miller's comments, and they were trying to talk up, Thomas Adamek as a legend. There were a sprinkling of people who were coming to the channel in the comment section, really trying to defend it, going, no, this is a really good fight. If you look at this dispassionately, it's number 7 versus number 15 on BoxRec. And the thing is, though, I don't think anyone would actually rate Thomas Adamek as the 15th best heavyweight in the world right now. He is much lower than that. I mean, BoxRec, it does take in, historical elements in terms of your record. So you are credited with, fights that you've had and wins that you've had over decent opponents. And Adamek's been at heavyweight for a long time. He's had a couple of wins over journeyman more recently, but he's had a few decent losses before that, and he really hasn't been a factor in the division for, 5 or 6 years now. He had his title challenge, basically the turn of the decade. And since then, he's had a couple of wins. Chris Arreola is one, a faded Andrew Gallotta another, Eddie Chambers when he was half decent, but apart from that, there hasn't been much to write home about more recently. So I stand by my view that it's not a great fight. I don't believe that it's going to be a competitive fight. Jarrell Miller should win this and win it well. And they've chosen this because, they want him to look really good. But the thing is, though, even if he does look really good, is it really going to build some hype for an Anthony Joshua fight? Not really, because no one likes the opponent. They're not expecting much from Adamek. And actually, it could be a lose-lose for Miller because he's already losing the respective fans. But he may end up looking a bit silly if Adamek can sort of hold in there and survive and make him look bad for if he drags it out late. But in terms of next on the list, Manuel Charr, well, this sort of confirms what Jarrell Miller has said previously, that he wants to go after Manuel Charr. As he sort of put it, he's waiting on his mandatory. So he wants Charr, and Char's got a fight coming up against Frezequendo shortly. That's in the end of September. One potential spanner in the works there could be the third WBA champion, Trevor Bryant. He won an interim title a week ago or so. And you just have to wonder, will the WBA reward Bryant and actually make him fight Charr if Charr gets past Oquendo? That could potentially be a fly in the ointment there. But, Miller is, from his actions and what he's been doing in the past year, he's got to a certain level. He's not prepared to take it past a certain degree of risk until he gets a title shot. And that would be confirmed by going the softest route that he possibly could have, which is going for Manuel Charr, who holds a version of the heavyweight title. Third, Dillian Whyte. I actually don't see this as being realistic at the moment. Simply for the fact that Jarrell Miller, all his actions are leaning towards him not taking on any major risk until he's had a shot at a heavyweight title. If he gets a belt, or after, say, if he went for a belt and lost or something like that, then I could see him be more willing to fight someone like a Dillian Whyte, because he'd still be able to get a pretty decent paycheck. And once his O's gone, if he can look for the biggest money fights around, I mean, that's what a lot of boxers do. But yeah, I don't really see that being a realistic fight. I think some of it is just bluster and talk from Miller, which he is, prone to do. He's quite good at it. But all the sort of stuff that he's saying, crackhead, squirrel-looking ass boy, spoiled beef patty, rotten in face, cocoa bread. I mean, that sort of classic Miller sort of stuff. But he says he's going to take this off Deontay Wilder's hands. Yeah, I don't actually see that happening. But in terms of, Deontay Wilder, he says he's going to go for him as well. Well, that's not going to happen if Jarrell Miller doesn't sign up to the clean boxing program, which he's shown no inkling to do. And even in recent interviews, he said, well, he's not interested in signing up for it right now. So if you're not going to do that, you're not going to get ranked by the WBC, and you can't be eligible to fight Deontay Wilder. So you're not really showing any intent to go after Deontay Wilder. So perhaps for now you better stow that talk, because it's not realistic. But Jarrell Miller, yeah, I mean, he never fails not to entertain me. I'm always entertained by his antics. But sometimes, he talks so much crap, it's like he's trying to talk his way into a title. But in terms of the Adamek fight, so this Boxing Scene article, Eddie Hearn reacts to critics. Miller vs. Adamek is no mismatch. So it says, there's been a heavy wave of criticism over the recently finalised scrap between Jarrell Big Baby Miller and former 2-division world champ Thomas Adamek. Contest October 6th, bloody blah, DAZN. From the moment the contest between Miller and Adamek was made, there was an outcry from fans and experts who called it a gross mismatch. Hearn disagrees, explaining that Adamek is a former champion and a former title challenger who is still a worthy opponent. I see it as number 7 in BoxRec rankings against number 15. This is the argument I was talking about before. I don't see how you can call it a gross mismatch. I see Miller as a big favourite. I see Miller kind of treading water right now in the division while he's waiting for Joshua to fight Povetkin and Wilder to make up his mind on what he wants to do. Dillian Whyte's just boxed. I'm going to put him on this October 6th show. Always. Thomas Adamek is a legend of Polish sport, and he's coming off 2 good wins. I don't see it as a mismatch. I see Jarrell as a huge favourite. See, I mean, that's a contradiction. I don't see it as a mismatch, but I see Jarrell Miller as a huge favourite. I mean, which is it? He would be better off just saying it's much closer than people think. But in terms of, I mean, I already just he can't go after Deontay Wilder because he's not in the WBC, as I just mentioned before. I see Miller kind of treading water, that quote right there. Well, I mean, he's admitting that the treading water, he's just staying busy for now, waiting for an opportunity. And that's what this is. It's a stay busy. And the number 7 versus number 15, it sounds good. But that's the BoxRec rankings. And in the sanctioning bodies, Adamek is not ranked at all. So make of that what you will. But my view, it is clearly a mismatch. And Eddie Hearn needs to behave, because that is just, it's farcical to sort of talk this up as anything but a mismatch. But he has to do that. He's got to sell the card. But, yeah, not a good fight. What do you make of it all? What did you make of Jarrell Miller's social media post and what he's saying about a whole plethora of boxers there? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.